Welcome to T-Smack, home of the T-Smack. May I take your order?
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, comics, and much, much more. And first and foremost, Merry Christmas to all those who celebrate. This episode's coming out on Christmas Day. So if you're spending time with us on Christmas Day 2024, yeah, that's the year we're in. It still doesn't sound like a real year. Thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your day with us. And to those who celebrate additional holidays, happy holidays to you as well. Happy New Year. We will see you next week for our 2025 Smackademy Awards episode. But this week, we are talking about the big news of the week, and that is the Superman trailer and the big news from the week before, where Sony had a big bust of a film, but they also released a big trailer that a lot of people were talking about. So, like, how Sony can kill two birds with one stone is beyond me. But I am joined, as always, by my co-host Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I feel as speedy as a hedgehog running down Mufasa with the rest of the wildebeest. It is a great day to be me.
Don't forget to transform and roll out with that one. I'm so happy to see that Mufasa is tanking heavily at the box office.
hmm
Not for any ill will towards like the creative team or anything like that, but that movie is such a microcosm of I didn't order this that Hollywood keeps throwing at us.
It's so true, but I see someone in the background holding their tongue. Matt, you can unleash it. You have a voice. You can be heard, sir.
Listen, just go talk to your dad. Stop listening to us. It's Christmas.
Maybe they don't want to talk to their dad.
Go spend time with your family.
Hmm.
Or maybe your found family. Go talk to that weird guy down the street, you know?
Maybe we are their found family, Matt. Did you ever think of that?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, that's podcasting, isn't it? You're sitting around listening to these people that you're like, I could be friends with them. And then you just listen to them talking and you go, wow, they're a bunch of idiots. I could be smarter than them.
That's true. That's true. You know what? I will be your Christmas dad if you need it. Not like that.
You won't be my Christmas daddy?
You maybe. We have a long history, but random
That's
listeners,
true.
that's called a parasocial relationship.
I think I need to bring everyone back with a bit of levity. I'm going to interrupt this.
As opposed to what?
Well, I'm just going to bring back. I'm going to bring everybody down to my level, and I need to tell a story about why I don't like Christmas. You see, one year, my father decided to dress like Santa Claus and climb down the chimney, and we found him days later.
He was just like hanging out or what?
He had passed away in the chimney.
Oh, okay.
And then in the sequel, we're just gonna start making a reference to it and be like, "Stop bringing us down and walk away." My favorite part of Gremlins 2 is that they acknowledge how awkward that damn story is in the middle of the movie. Like, let's just bring everybody down and tell a story about being like 7 years old and finding their father dead in the chimney dressed as Santa.
That rules. That movie rules. Both
It's
of those
great.
movies rule.
They're fantastic.
They do. I love Gremlins too. That was my introduction to the Gremlins franchise. So I have a big soft spot for it. I know it's a much more cartoony film than the previous one, but I think they're both very good in their own right.
Is that what we're talking about today? We're talking about
I
Gremlins?
think yeah, like it's Christmas. What are your favorite Christmas movies? What do you watch every Christmas?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. That's a big question. Probably some TV. I don't know.
I have first and foremost, I need to say thank you to AMC Theaters for my free 30-day subscription to Apple TV Plus. I'm gonna watch the Ted Lasso Christmas episode from season 2. But my holiday tradition is I will watch the Muppet Christmas Carol at least 3 times.
I don't think I really have movies like that necessarily. You know, I can think of movies like Gremlins or Home Alone that I will go Jingle All the Way that I will reach for, but I'm not necessarily like, oh, it's Christmas. Like, it's almost Christmas. I got to make sure I fit this in before the season's over. But I'm more likely to do that with like Christmas episodes of TV like that, like Community or what have you, things like that.
Now, see, with me, it's got to be. I have to fit somewhere within the December month. I have to fit in Christmas Vacation. We used to have it. My mom recorded it off of a TV broadcast when we lived in Texas, and so when we would rewatch it during the holidays after we moved to Nevada, we would get nostalgic because the commercials would all be those local cities places, and then and then sometime when I was like 17 or 18, she bought the DVD because we got a DVD player, and we watched it, and she was stunned, and I was stunned because it is way more adult than they broadcast on
Yep.
TV.
Yep.
Like the entire scene of him hitting on of Mary in the department store, that's gone. The pool daydream scene is completely gone. The shitter's full's gone. There's just so many little things. Christmas Story has to be watched at least twice. I love the Jim Carrey Grinch. I watched that one. That one just hit the sweet spot for me of like early teens and loving Jim Carrey, and I just find it a classic.
I like Baby Grinch in that movie.
It's just hysterical. You've got a beard.
Santa, bye-bye.
Exactly.
Star Trek Generations is a Christmas movie.
Of course it is.
There's a scene with a big Christmas tree in it.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm up to watch 4 or 5 of my Die Hard rewatch.
Okay. All right.
Because that's a Christmas movie.
Hard disagree, but
I'm not going to have that fight tonight.
Yeah, we're not here to do that. So with that, before we start antagonizing each other a little bit, let's hear from Justin over at the Movie Wire, and when we come back, we're going to break down a couple trailers. We'll be right back.
Justin agrees with me.
In a world with so many movies to choose from, one man has created the go-to podcast for reviews of hot and trending movies, so you know what's worth your time. The Movie Wire Podcast with host Justin Henson. Hear Justin's movie verdict wherever you listen to podcasts. Tune into the Movie Wire today.
Antagonizing people that you care about is like what Christmas is about to some degree, isn't it?
To some degree. I do wish that Alex, I wish you had timed that better, and I wish I had the record scratch Movie Wire promo. I would have stopped it right there and be like, nope, if Justin agrees with Alex, we're not doing it. Then we wouldn't have to do any extra editing. But that wasn't the case. I explained the joke, so it's hilarious.
It's like it's explaining the joke you would have made if circumstances were different is like telling the joke itself, if you think about it.
In a certain point of view, yeah.
See, I think if we're talking about getting together with a family and antagonizing each other, I think that's Plane, Trains, and Automobiles, because I love that movie.
But that's a Thanksgiving film.
Yes, but that's why I said the holidays.
Yeah.
I consider Thanksgiving through the end of the year the holidays. When people say Happy Holidays, that's what we're talking about. All the holidays that fall in between.
Yeah.
Finally, we can agree on something in this life.
Speaking of controversial, Matt, the Game Club Pod is doing 30 Days of Podmas, and in one of their more recent episodes, they watched the Star Wars Holiday Special.
All right.
I told them in their Discord that the Talking Smack podcast does not condone or tolerate besmirching the Holiday Special because while it is not in line with the Star Wars brand, it is still fantastically amazing.
It's great.
So I just needed to put that out there and let Joey, Tim, and Alex know that while their opinions are appreciated, they are wrong, but you are entitled to feel the way you feel, but you're wrong.
There's an old man Wookiee who watches porn in his living room. B. Arthur's there.
See, this is how we know that Disney has lost all their mojo, because if they gave a shit about Star Wars, they would release the holiday special in a 4K restoration as one.
See, I don't think George Lucas will let them. And they're clearly trying to bury it because they released the Lego Star Wars holiday special.
Oh yeah, no. I know they're trying to bury it, which means they have no more gumption. They were as strong of will as they used to be to release Aladdin 3, Jafar's Revenge, or whatever the hell the thousand, that's stuff
gumption?
in the 90s.
Is that gumption?
Yeah, because they lied. They were so diehard. We don't care about our product. We just want money.
Okay, I see what you mean.
I think the Aladdin films are a bad example of that, though, because those are good.
Oh, okay, the second one without Robin Williams is terrible. The third one, like, was it the 1,000 Nights or whatever? That one's not bad. But I'm just saying, they would release it in a 4K beautiful restoration just so that George Lucas can have a conniption fit and just be like, go on Twitter and Twitter and Blue Sky and everything and just be like, what have you done to my legacy? I buried that. I bought every print and destroyed it. It only survives from VHS copies. And then, the mouse goes, but we like money.
I would not be surprised if like that was a stipulation of the sale. Like, you cannot release this. This is my one ask, plus all the money you're giving me.
I think they have it queued up in their restoration filters where the minute George Lucas is announced as dead, they will release a 4-pack of the original unaltered trilogies and the holiday special.
Oh, can you?
And they'll release it as the George Lucas deathbed box set.
They won't call it that.
No, but that's what it should be dubbed.
No, that should be the like co-announcement. It's like George Lucas has passed away, and then right underneath that with like an ad space banner is buy the the original 4K restoration cut bonus disc Star Wars Holiday Special.
You got to let the body get cold first, like.
No, the only cold body that is allowed at Disney is Walt's.
So that's a great transition, Alex. I was going to offer like a coin flip to see which trailer we'll talk about first. But since we're talking about dead bodies, let's talk about 28 years later.
We should talk about that. We should talk about the better one last anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people might tune out if we're not talking about that thing first. But I do think we saved the best for last in this case.
Hard pass, but okay.
So I am unfamiliar with the 28 Days, Weeks, and Years Later franchise, which I know the Years films are being filmed as a trilogy right now because everything is an IP and everything is a trilogy and a sequel now. So Alex, I'm going to kind of let you take the lead on this one because the 28 franchise, I guess we'll call it, has always been on my radar, but kind of like the Planet of the Apes. I think I said this last week. It just keeps falling by the wayside. I forget about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch that.
Okay. So, there were 2 movies. I remember seeing them both like twice, and they're about fast, angry zombies. Next question.
Is the first one more like it's a rage virus? They're not like necessarily zombies.
It's
That's like the way they explain it. Every zombie.
It's a way to get around saying zombies.
Yeah, every zombie movie has that where like here's the thing that explains why we're zombies that isn't
using the word zombie.
Using the word zombie, yeah.
Yeah, I mean even what is it? Shaun of the Dead, they refuse to say zombies, and then when one of them starts to say it, he goes, we don't say the Z word.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a rage virus that somehow mutated, and the 2 main quirks of their non-zombies are that it hits really, really quickly within like 20 seconds. And you are into this murderous rage where you just charge to kill. And their zombies are supposed to be based on the human biology, so they actually can starve to death.
Right.
And so that's kind of what happens with Cillian Murphy's character is he wakes up out of a coma somehow. Everything around him has gone to shit because it's been 28 days. And the pockets of humanity in the UK are hiding up in different areas. And that's where they've begun to figure it out. Like, if we can just wait them out, we might be okay within like 5 to 6 weeks. But of course, everything goes to hell and doesn't quite work out that way because they keep repopulating their numbers by finding people.
Right. Yeah, and if you've ever heard, it became a very big touch point. Alex mentioned that they are the fast zombies. So like in the 2000s, especially when in 2010s when like zombies had their moment, there was like a big debate among those dorks about, do you like classic zombies or fast zombies or whatever? And that's, unless I'm mistaken, I'm not a big Zed head. That's all because of 28 Days Later, and it's a bunch of guys charging at you and pummeling you instead of like a bunch of like a slow moving horde.
Yeah, like the 28 Days Later really allowed that argument, and then I think it was the next year, or maybe it was a year after that we then got the remake of Dawn of the Dead, where they did the same thing, where it's like, cool, our zombies can be quick, yeah. They have human biology. Why can't they just run?
Right.
That kind of thing. And so now you definitely have the arguments of is it a slow thing? is it a fasting? And then we have what is it? World War Z treated them like an ant colony hive mind where they could like
Yeah.
build on top of each other. We get that beautiful, probably the only good shot in that film of them scaling the outer walls as they're assaulting Jerusalem, and their bodies are piling on top of each other until they're climbing up and over, which is a really
Yeah.
cool shot.
Yeah, that was like the only marketing material they had for that film.
Yeah. But in terms of like the IP of what happened is that they did 28 days later, and Danny Boylan and Alex Garland, the director and writer, did not really have full creative control, and they weren't really even consulted about the next movie. It just did well. They originally had a trilogy idea of 28 days, 28 weeks, 28 months. And then Danny Boyle blew up with his Oscar stuff. Alex Garland did all his stuff, and the rights kind of lapsed. Like they weren't even on streaming for a very long time, the two movies. And then they eventually negotiated rights to come back, and yeah, now it is an IP in which they're going to do a trilogy of 28 years later. One of the interesting things was with the announcement of the trailer coming out that they announced that 28 days later would finally be available to actually stream, and they were going to actually reprint some Blu-rays for it, because it's actually been really hard to get a hold of unless you catch it on TV for the last like 10 years or so. Like most of the Blu-rays are out of print by now.
Yeah, if you didn't
I've,
catch it when it was like new, it's hard to come by.
yeah, I've seen people in corners of the internet saying stuff like 28 weeks later hasn't been on shelves for like years at this point. So, as someone who hasn't seen these movies, the trailer still is very intriguing. I know there was some controversy as to the one zombie that kind of rises out of the grass. Like, I don't know how exactly he's coming up. It looks like he's just kind of doing an Undertaker lift, but from the heel or something. But the internet immediately thought that it was Killian Murphy, partly because
Well, it looks kind of like him, doesn't it?
it does. I mean, it's got the cheekbones and everything, but I know what is it, the content generator? I don't know what you would call them, but discussing film, they're on all the social media platforms, and they try to like be the first ones out to post things about new trailers and image releases and stuff. They had posted saying, "Hey, here's your first look at Killian Murphy in this movie." And then immediately some guy from the production was like, "No, that's me, actually. That's not Killian Murphy." And there have been like set leaks of Killian Murphy in costume on set, so like there is a little bit of misinformation or speculation, rumors going around. We don't know exactly what's going on. It would be a ballsy move to put him in the trailer and be like, yeah, that character's dead.
Right, because that's what a lot of people were kind of annoyed about, is that he wasn't the lead of the second one. But like I said, they didn't. Danny Boy and Alex Garland really didn't have a lot of creative input on it. It was just announced, and now they have said definitively like, oh, he's in them. He's part of it. He's not the first one, but he's in the second one. And whoever cut that trailer, I have to give amazing props to, because using Boots, that poem by Rudyard Kipling, and the Taylor Holmes recording of it from like 1916 or something like that, with that music and recut, is fantastic. It's haunting. It
It's
is
very eerie.
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good trailer. I will say that, like, before I watched it, and I'll admit that I watched it mainly because I was going to be here. I really like 28 Days Later. It's a great movie. 28 Weeks is one of those movies where I didn't hate it, but I'm like, it's fine. It doesn't really need to exist. I guess now that makes more sense now, knowing that it's like maybe not, was not in the creative hands of the original people. So I was like, I don't need this, especially knowing that it's like a trilogy. I was like, no, thank you. I think I'm probably good. But I will admit that I don't know if it sold me on seeing it, but I was like, okay, this looks pretty good. It's an affecting trailer. It makes me interested, and it's got a strong cast. Despite recent box office returns, what's his name is a good actor. Craven the Hunter,
Aaron
he's
Taylor
good.
Johnson.
Yeah, he's good. Ralph Fiennes, is that how you say it?
Yep. Rafe Fiennes.
Rafe. Sorry, Rafe.
Rafe, really? Huh.
Yeah, it's Rafe. I think he's Irish or something.
Oh yeah.
Those are a couple of good actors who I like watching do stuff usually. So, I don't know if I run out to the theater to see it, but I will probably at least check it out when it's streaming, if nothing else.
I'm willing to give a little bit of trust to this one just because they had a plan originally,
Sure.
and things went a little sideways. But I do fully admit that it was the music, the words, the editor. That person needs to like be given a bonus. I hope they negotiated something along the lines of like, hey, for every 10 million views, I get like, a bonus, right? Because they announced that on YouTube, announced that it is the second most viewed horror trailer of all time within like 72 hours.
Wow.
I think the first one was It Chapter 1 or something like that. And so yeah, it looks cool. I Other than apparently 28 years later things still suck.
Right.
I don't know what the plan is, and yeah, I'm willing to give Craven the Hunter at least a shot. I mean, Quicksilver eventually has to come out ahead somewhere, right?
That's something that's something we didn't talk about last week is how did he get roped into a Sony Marvel movie knowing what the Disney Marvel process is. So like I'm very confused as to how he got roped into all that cuz yeah, he's not a bad actor. And with the trailer, I got a lot of like The Village vibes from a big chunk of it, but only in this case it's the monsters are very much real and everyone is aware of it,
Right.
instead of it being a big hoax.
Maybe it would be a big hoax. We don't know. That was the thing with the village too. You didn't know until you saw the movie. Everything's actually fine, and we just are pretending. People pretending to be zombies.
I think Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are a little more nuanced than that. Have a lot of faith in them. I think that there is a lot of iconography, even just straight out of the trailer, like that giant Christmas tree of skulls that they have in there.
Yeah,
I'm very
The
interested.
second one is called like the Bone something, right? Like
Temple.
the Bone Temple. I guess that. I guess this is just a. There's a lot of bones going on in this new trilogy. The Bone Zone.
Well,
That
you
would
know
be
who loves
great.
bones? You guys are setting me up real good this week. Doggos love bones, and there's a
Ooh,
very good boy in the Superman trailer. So let's jump on over to that. So probably our most listened to episode that's not the Five Nights at Freddy's episode that Slade joined us on.
That's such an indictment of the internet, by the way. That's
It
such an
it really
indictment.
is because funny enough, like throughout the year, like that was a pretty good episode for us. And then throughout the year, it kept kind of getting like 1, 2, 3, 10 listens every now and again. And then we get to like September of this year, like just after Beetlejuice came out. And all of a sudden it jumped another like 50, 60, 70 listens a year later. And it's still getting listens.
Maybe some like random YouTuber hyped it up or something, and then a bunch of preteens were like, "Oh, I'll go listen to it."
no, it's called evergreen content, and that is
True.
exactly what we need.
Yeah, it's true. But our second most listened to episode is the DC movie slate announcement that happened almost a year ago at this point. When James Gunn put out a big thing in January of this year, laying out the details of his Gods and Monsters phase of the DCU, and Scotty and I broke that down. A lot of it was very James Gunn. You had the Creature Commandos, you had a whole bunch of other stuff where James Gunn lives in the bottom of the toy box with these superhero movies. He loves his C and D list characters. And I think based on this trailer, so let's go first into what are our thoughts on the trailer. I think this trailer is going to kind of do, or what this trailer sets up for an expectation for me is that I think James Gunn is going to kind of Captain America Superman, where I think similar to Captain America, I think Superman works best in an ensemble. If you just leave him to his own devices, where he's just a solo machine with occasionally bumping into Lois Lane as either or both Clark Kent and Superman, audiences will find him a little dull. Not that he is, but that's how he tends to be presented. And I think by making him work with other superheroes, you kind of establish him more as that idyllic superhero and show why he is useful on a team as well and not just going to be a powerhouse throughout the entire thing. But Matt, as our resident comic expert and Superman aficionado, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, obviously it's like basically the epitome of a teaser trailer, right? Where it is giving you glimpses of the thing without any context whatsoever. Aside from the fact that it's a Superman movie, it gives away no plot whatsoever, which is, not bad in my opinion, but so it's hard to say what any of it actually will amount to, right? A good trailer can be cut for a bad movie, right? It is a thing where I am very curious. One of the things that has come out that may or may not have been announced at the time you guys did that episode and is clear in this trailer is there's a lot of, and like you just mentioned, there's a lot of other DC superheroes who will be appearing in this movie. And I'm sort of waiting to see what that looks like, right? Because on the one hand, if DC comes out and says we're restarting our universe, we're going to try again, and our first big one's going to be a Superman movie, and it's going to have a bunch of superheroes in it. My first reaction is I'm not so sure about that, right? I don't know about that one. However, I'm willing to give James Gunn a lot of benefit of the doubt. In my opinion, at least, he hasn't steered me wrong yet, really. Basically, everything he has put out that I've seen, at least, I've not seen all of his indie stuff, like Marvel and with DC. I like it, Some less than others, but I think it's all pretty good. So I'm sort of, on that regard, waiting to. I don't know what to think of it. My expectation is that, like, I think James Gunn knows he has to, like, nail it, as if at all possible. So, like, my hope is that these are kind of like glorified cameos, right? Where what we're establishing is that the DC universe, like, exists. We're not doing the origin again. We are not showing Superman becoming Superman again. This Superman exists in a context in which he is established. There's other superheroes established. There's a Justice League. There's all kinds of stuff happening. So maybe it's a team up movie, maybe it's not. But I think my hope is that it will be, we're gonna have a couple scenes, maybe a big action set piece with a bunch of these guys, but it's mostly still going to be a Superman movie. We're just really using them to get some cool
To
action.
establish that there's a bigger world. And
Yeah,
I do know that they have confirmed that Mr. Terrific, his name, Eddie
yeah,
Gathegi, excuse me, Eddie Gathegi playing Mr. Terrific. They have confirmed he does have a pretty significant role in the film. But other
gotcha.
than that, yeah, we don't know what Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner Green Lantern or Isabella Merced as Hawk Girl. We don't know exactly what kind of roles they have. But I did pull up and Alex, we'll get to your thoughts in just a second. I did pull up the Variety Easter egg breakdown for the trailer. They had like 17 things to know about the trailer. And this made me laugh because why would you do this to Isabella Merced? So they have Nathan Fillion, brackets, Castle Firefly. They're crediting things people would know them from. Isabella Merced, brackets, Alien Romulus, Madam Web.
Guess those are the
You
most.
you can't say Dora the Explorer. You like, why do you got to do that to her?
One of the ways that I know Gunn's heart, at least, in the right place, aside from stuff like, oh, we're doing a movie with crypto and we're gonna give him the trunks, is when they announce, like, Nathan Fillion's gonna be in this movie in some capacity. He's gonna be playing Guy Gardner. My expectation is, okay, it's just gonna be Nathan Fillion, noted handsome man, kind of a goofball, and he's gonna be wearing, like, something resembling the, like, Guy Gardner clothes, like the jacket or whatever, and that's gonna be it. But this
They're
guy
going full bowl cut.
shows up with the fucking bowl cut straight out of the 80s, which, like, all right, you're just going for it. So, respect.
Alex, how did this trailer hit you?
I have faith that John Cryer is going to do all right as Lex Luthor. Terry Hatcher looks fine, as does George Reeves. So I'm not really too worried about that. I find the Trunks kind of an interesting look, just because when he's laying on his side for the majority of the trailer, it looks very awkward. Like they just look like they're fitted weird, which is the problem. But my thing is, this trailer did nothing for me because the very first scene is a classic James Gunn thing. Superman is laying there bleeding out, beat to shit, and coughs up a big ass loogie of blood. I'm like, yep, that's James Gunn. James Gunn does not know how to be subtle. And in my opinion, of the last 3 movies he directed, which were the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, not counting Suicide Squad because that was terrible,
Did he
but
do the? Was it Brightburn? Was that the?
he wrote Brightburn.
What he wrote Brightburn? Okay,
Yes.
I wasn't sure if he had directed that or not. I know that one was What If Superman Was Evil as a Child.
Yeah. I was just like, it was diminishing returns for me. Like we've talked about it, about how especially Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was just torture porn for animals. And then immediately at the end of that movie completely took away the message of the movie with its last final shots. I don't have faith Crypto is not going to make it out of this movie, literally probably being kicked by the bad guy into a wall or something like that. And we're going to hear a dog yelp in pain. Just like Suicide Squad, that long ass montage of the birds burning to death and screaming in the background, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 3 animal torture. So I was just looking at it going, this is the James Gunn completely unleashed doing whatever he wants. What do we immediately start with? Blood, hacked on the ground, and try to get us in with a moment of cuteness. Everything else was, okay. I'm sure Tom Welling is going to be fine. He looks good. I like the hair.
I have to respectfully disagree with the first shot. I think that is a very intentional shot because of how general audiences perceive Superman. So I think it's more of a hook of, oh shit, someone beat up Superman to this point. What's going to happen next? I think that's what it
We
is.
already have that in the last time Superman was on screen. He got beat to shit, literally beat to death. How many times can we see Superman be beat?
It's been almost 10 years since that movie came out. And I think that,
Second to
again,
last time, point of reference, because he comes back in Justice League.
Third to last, if you want to count the 2 Justice League movies.
Yeah, but he got beat up and was bleeding in those too.
Not the Whedon cut. At least he was pretty. They just went. He's completely invulnerable at this point.
I think the thing that is if nothing else, I think the reason that will not happen to that same degree is because Crypto, not as much as like Superman or Lois Lane, but is like a brand that is owned and maintained by Warner Brothers Entertainment, right? We're like a family friend, like that at least is like on some degree a family friendly. There's a kids movie starring Crypto the Superdog, right? I think that there's probably somebody there who's saying like, okay, you cannot set the dog on fire if that's what James Gunn's trying to do, as opposed to like Rocket Raccoon, who like is a children's character, but that sort of backstory is built into the comics character, right? So there's more leeway to be like, okay, that's part of the character, and I want to tell that story. And who knows, right? Maybe you're right, but I suspect that if that is going to happen, it's going to be very mild and will not be a very large moment. But I mean, who knows, right? That's the thing, is like this trailer says so little. It's hard to say like this is what the movie's about.
Yeah, what I'm just saying is that it doesn't hype me at all because
Sure.
because we literally have trailers of Superman bleeding. I mean, what was Ben Affleck's Superman's famous line from that Batman vs Superman? Do you bleed? I'll make you bleed. And it's just like, yeah, okay, so Superman bleeds. Then we're not getting a story that I would like to see. I don't want to see another version of Superman where everybody throws up their hands and goes, he's too powerful, he's boring, we can't do anything with him unless we beat the shit out of him. I mean, if that's the reference, then if that's the only thing we can do with Superman to make him interesting, then the only good movie in theory was the ones with Christopher Reeve 50 years ago at this point. That Superman really didn't bleed. He was challenged intellectually. Oh, 2 missiles are going into different directions. What are you going to do? He has to solve that, thinking about it. You have to challenge Superman in a way that's not hitting him. That's why I wasn't excited about it.
Sure.
The rest of the trailer it looked okay. Like I said, I kind of like his really goofy hair. It does very much remind me of Christopher Reeve's kind of goofy hair. The mannerisms, we still haven't figured out an actor who had Christopher Reeve was really good at doing the full dorky, kind of like making his shoulders in, his body hunch, making him look not like a Superman, which is why I believe it's Superman 2. There's a great part where Margot Kidder's Lois Lane figures out he's Superman and pulls out a gun on him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Blah 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 blah. And the second that she actually aims it at him, you see him become Superman in that, and his chest rises, it broadens, his shoulders back, his mannerisms change, and he's like, "Okay, this is how he cons people." Throwing the little dorky hair on, I don't know. I need to see him. Does he nail both personas?
Well, and some of that is like, this is getting into like deeper stuff than is maybe relevant for this conversation, but there's like lots of different ways that dichotomy is presented in comics and in movies and TV, right? Where like, I think especially when the Reeves movie comes out, the Christopher Reeve movie, the original, it's very much at a time when the idea is, this is reductive, but Superman is the real person and Clark Kent is like a disguise he puts on, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is, he's very much channeling that, and like he's doing great at it, obviously. It's iconic. But I think that's a thing that maybe is not, I think the thinking on that has changed, or at least there's more ideas in there. So like maybe it's not a thing where there is such a distinct transformation between the two personas. And I think depending on how that's presented, it would not necessarily be a bad thing. It would just be, assuming that they succeed in what they're trying to do, it's just a way that they could present the dichotomy in a way. Because I think there's an idea that it's less about how him specifically hiding and more like that people just don't really notice him, and he's just like a big guy that nobody ever thinks Superman would work a day job, because why would you, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that. I want this to be a good movie. That's just immediately my interest was waned by, like, I mean, Josh, you're right. By the time this comes out, it's been 9 years since Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. Do I really need, for the second time in 2 years, to see the Man of Steel bleeding and beaten on the ground? No, I don't need that. We had that 30 something years ago when they did it the first time with Doomsday. That was the thing. We're gonna beat him until he's dead and kill off Superman. It's like, why do we need to hurt Superman for 30 something years now? It's just reductive at this point.
I think it's just a trope of the genre, because as a movie and general audiences, you need the drama of him being physically and mentally beaten. How does he overcome these things that he's not used to? But to go back really quick with the Clark Kent thing, one thing I did notice, which is it's super subtle, and I've watched this trailer probably 10 times, so I'm putting a microscope to this thing. One of the things I noticed is that I'm forgetting his name now. Who's playing Superman this time around?
David Cornsweet.
David Cornsweet. One of the things that he's doing with his Clark Kent persona, at the very least, I don't care for the glasses. I think they're a little too ostentatious. Like they're a little too like "Ew, I'm a nerdy." But he's pushing his jaw forward a little bit, because like when you see him as Superman, he's got the square jaw, he's got dimples, like he has that superhero jawline. Whereas the few times we see him as Clark Kent, his jaw is kind of like almost like he's pushing it into an underbite. And I think that's part of what he's doing to kind of add a little bit extra to his Clark Kent, because there's one shot in particular where he's turning around to look at Lois in the trailer, and I'm guessing he's probably more likely getting called at by Perry White, or he's seeing Lois for the first time and it's like a flashback or something. But I do think that there is going to be some physical manifestations that he's going to tweak into his Clark. And in this case, I think one of them is going to be trying to like round out his jawline by maybe pushing it forward a little bit. And I think if that is the case, or maybe I'm just finding stuff that I want to find, I think that's a pretty cool thing.
No, I will say that the suit looks pretty damn good. Actually, I really find it intriguing that they haven't done the Marvel thing where they've over texturized it, where it kind of looks like someone decided to make a super suit out of a basketball. Like, it actually looks good. The S looks good. The cape looks nice. I did find it charming that Crypto grabs it by the cape, and apparently he's going to drag his ass back to the Fortress of Solitude. Like that. Like, I want to see that sequence. If we see Crypto barreling forward like a freight train with all that snow, I want to see at least a little bit of humor of Superman bouncing across the snow as Crypto's like full on just high speed dragging.
Well, I'll say this. Like, I think, it seems like maybe the big difference between you and I, Alex, is maybe there's a little less faith in James Gunn as a director on your end, just because I think the Suicide Squad was great. I only saw it the one time, but when I watched it, I really loved it. I like all three of those Guardians of the Galaxy movies to greater and lesser degrees. And based on what the things he has said, for the most part, it seems like he kind of knows, kind of gets, at least in the general area of what a Superman movie should be. So I think I see Superman, and we may be overanalyzing this one shot too, is part of the thing. We have no context for what it is. But I see Superman laying and bleeding on the ground, and I think it's notable. But I think I don't immediately jump to that's what this movie's about, because I just see that as it's an action movie to some degree. There's got to be some action at some point. You have a moment where even Superman, even if it's not about him getting his ass beat and watching this guy suffer, he has a moment where maybe he goes up against the guy in the first act and he loses, right? Because otherwise there's no movie. So I'm sort of just if it is the movie that puts in your head, I think that we are on the same page, right? That's not a movie I want to see. I think I'm just more in lines of that doesn't give me as much pause, in part because the rest of the trailer kind of charms me, and I have this sort of built-in trust in James Gunn as a director to date.
Yeah, I can see that. I will say Nicholas Hoult
Great.
looks really weird. Like he already has this kind of interesting kind of face, but you add the bald head to it, and it's creepy. Which I think works in the favor. Because Lex is so often portrayed by a really attractive man like Michael Rosenbaum, who, when he has hair now that he's no longer on Smallville, I'm like, you should keep it shaved.
Nicholas Hoult, though, is so he is a guy who is extremely good at playing charming psychopaths. If you've never seen The Great, he's great in the TV show The Great.
Mm-hmm.
The movie The Menu.
I was about to bring up The Menu. Yeah, that's a great one of him being a charismatic psychopath.
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued to see what this looks like, and that's a guy where I think he was originally going for Superman. I think that would have also worked, but seeing him as Lex, I'm okay, he's gonna let's let this freak it up,
So we might end up with a Tom Hiddleston situation. He
Yeah.
really wanted Thor. They gave him Loki, and he's fantastic at Loki. I will also say Nicholas Hoult really, really was great in Renfield last year. I know that movie kind of came and went, but that is the Nick Cage,
That's
Awkwafina, Dracula movie. But I really dug it. It knew exactly what kind of movie it was.
That was on my list almost entirely because of Nicholas Hoult, and I just never got around to it. Thank you for reminding me that that's out there for me.
Definitely worth a quick watch. What I'm saying is I think you're very right with your assessment. I just do not have as much faith.
Sure.
And I'm really hoping to be proven wrong, because I want Crypto to be adorable. I want to see Amy Adams, how she does with her version of Lois Lane.
You mean Mrs. Maisel? Don't besmirch Rachel Brosnahan, please.
It's not Erica Durance? I thought it was Erica Durance in this one.
Michael Cudlitz as Lex Luthor.
I think you mean Clancy Brown. So there is one other somewhat non-Superman thing that I really wanted to talk about before we kind of get into the last thing I want to talk about with this trailer before we call it a night. So Anthony Carrigan, maybe most notably from the TV show Barry on HBO, he will be playing Metamorpho. And in the trailer, he looks like Zordon from the 1995 Power Rangers movie. That's I asked Matt straight up, who the hell is this guy? Because I could not figure it out for the life of me. I was watching the trailer at work, and I forgot that they had announced Metamorpho was going to be in the film. So he wasn't even in my brain.
My first pull was Brainiac, and then as soon as someone reminded me that Metamorpho, I looked closer, and I was like, oh yeah, that's absolutely,
you can see the purple on his left shoulder and everything. So I do think that this film is going to kind of be a little bit of a Metamorpho origin story as well. But I have very little knowledge of who and what Metamorpho is, because I think the only exposure I have to this character is a minor role that he has in the fourth season of Young Justice. And then I think he also shows up in Batman Brave and the Bold for a few episodes.
I think there
But
is
I
almost certainly a Justice League episode about him as well.
okay.
So
Uh, I I did do a little Wikipedia research. I know he does tie into is it Stag Industries?
yeah,
There's a shot of Superman at some point in the trailer where he's kind of huddled over, and behind him you can see he's at Stag Industries. So I'm wondering if like part of Metamorpho's origin story is tied into what's causing everyone to be upset at Superman in the trailer. And then I, I I really hope it's not a like Batman v Superman sort of thing where I don't know what Metamorpho's power scale is supposed to be, but if he's like the guy in the suit that's fighting Superman in like the baseball stadium and stuff, and then at some point they kind of have a moment where they just kind of finally talk stuff out and they like Metamorpho has a face turn. I really hope that's not the case. I really hope it's more just like Superman using the Fortress of Solitude to kind of help and try to heal Metamorpho.
sure.
But Metamorpho is a guy that again is in that bottom of the toy bin James Gunn guy.
He is one of those guys, and if I'm going to say this, and then if you turn around and ask me, like, oh, so what Metamorpho comics should I read? I can't tell you. But he's like one of those like really great, like Silver Age ass, like just goofy characters where it's like they're just like throwing stuff at the wall in the 60s and 50s and just like whatever. Here's an idea. This guy's an elemental guy and he's got all kinds of weird colors and he's just I love him just in that regard. But like I said, I couldn't like point to like a metamorphose story that would kind of unlock the character.
The Wikipedia page I looked at said like Brave and the Bold numbers 15 to 17 or something like that is an arc for him.
Yeah, like I think he's one of those guys. I don't know if he ever had his own. He must have had his own book at some point, but in the 50s and 60s especially, there's this period where a lot of guys that end up being DC mainstays are just like, you know, tons of comics have 3 or 4 stories in them every issue, and there's just like a cycle of guys who like this is Metamorpho's got a story this month, and then so
I mean,
so on and so
that's
on.
how Spider-Man came to be in Amazing Fantasy
Yeah,
was
yeah,
it just happened to be his turn in the cycle, and oh my gosh, he blew up.
yeah. And that said, I'll get off this in 1 second, but I think as of this recording, I don't think it's out yet, but Al Ewing is like about to launch at DC a Metamorpho, I think, miniseries. Um, and so maybe that's the big Metamorpho story that gets him over. But like if you know me at all, I don't know. I may have talked. I'm sure I've talked about it on the podcast, but Al Ewing is like one of those all-time great comics writers for me. So I guess free plug for DC Detective Comics. Here's your free plug.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and maybe you guys don't need to have too many opinions on this part, but there's a post by Adam Miller in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in where he was inspired by this trailer to go back and look at the last two Superman movie trailers for the previous two Superman movies, being Superman Returns in 2000. I think that trailer came out in like '05 with Batman Begins, and then Man of Steel, which premiered in front of The Dark Knight Rises in 2012, which I find really funny that they're both Batman movies. Didn't have to be, but they were. The takeaway that he came with from those rewatches is that the Superman Returns trailer, and I was inspired to do the same thing. So I look back at it, and the Superman Returns trailer is it kind of is a microcosm of what the entire Superman Returns movie is, and the problems I have with it. That being, it's just an extension of the Christopher Reeve movies, saying there's a 5-year time jump, but there's like a 30-year technology gap that it creates. The trailer for Superman Returns, it takes Marlon Brando's Jor-El monologue from Superman 1977 and just plays over the entire thing. And it is pretty much just, oh, we're just doing Christopher Reeve Superman again. We're just going to try and disregard Superman's 3 and 4 and go on from there. And then the Man of Steel trailer, which is such a hard turn from Superman Returns, because I do feel like Superman Returns still kind of treated Superman like almost like a holy property, like sort of like what Disney's doing with Star Wars, where like like this is something we do not tamper with. This is a formula we don't change. Man of Steel kind of changed it a little bit, where it's very much more about Kal-El because Zack Snyder hates Clark Kent. It's very much more about him being like a nomad trying to find his place in the world, and it ends with him flying off because he has found his place as Superman. It's not entirely a hopeful trailer, and I think most of the iconography from Man of Steel is in this trailer. So like it doesn't, having the benefit of hindsight, it doesn't leave a lot to the imagination in terms of what is this movie about. I think I walked away more from Superman Returns being like, yeah, I can definitely see myself thinking like that could be a good Superman movie. Whereas with Man of Steel, I think I'm still a little tainted with what the end result was and how just some of the imagery leads to some really stupid storytelling decisions. Like just openly having Pa Kent be like, yeah, let those kids on the bus die, please. Like hide your identity. Like that being a focal point of the trailer, and then knowing that in the movie he never is like, not like, yeah, I saved those kids for a good reason. The movie almost always constantly feels like, and I'm not here to relitigate Man of Steel, I'm just on a tangent now. But Man of Steel just always feels like Clark is always just on his heels or on his toes about like, do I need to reveal myself? And even when he finally does reveal himself, it never feels like a decision that he made. He was forced into it by Zod showing up in his crew. So it just, that one is a little harder to have fresh eyes on just because of what I know comes afterward.
Here's my immediate reaction to that, and it's out of left field. It's not what you're expecting to come from me. Not what you're setting me up for. June 2025. Talking Smack. Super Summer. All right? You guys have just done this thing this last year where you're revisiting movies that are 10 years old.
Uh-huh.
Let's watch.
I'm not rewatching Lois and Clark.
You don't have to watch. You don't have to rewatch the whole thing. Maybe we can just rewatch the
Maybe
movies.
just do the pilot.
We could do a couple episodes of certain shows. It's just an idea. Maybe you cut that out and we talk about it later off mic. I don't know.
I don't hate it.
I want to see if Elizabeth Tilcock is as good as Lois Lane.
You know, and I'll tell you what. I just watched 4 seasons of that show. She is.
That's fantastic. I loved her in
You know
Grimm.
what? You know, I've actually never seen a full episode of Smallville.
All right.
You haven't?
Somebody save you.
Oh my god!
Somebody save him. I don't care how
I never
you
had
do
this. I don't know how, but I didn't have somehow Matt and I did not have the same cable package, and I never had the CW. Like I had to go to his house to watch Buffy.
I was gonna roast you for not knowing it was the WB, Josh, but
I forgot about that.
Buffy was also on
But
WB, so
I think
One
I
season.
started watching Buffy after the CW changeover had happened. I think like the final season was when it became the CW, and that's when we started doing our weekly watch-alongs.
I can't get into the history of TV. It was the WB, then I moved to UPN. Later on down the line, they merged into the CW.
Oh yeah, Upin. I forgot about Upin.
Okay, Josh, this is how weird Smallville is. After the Fast and the Furious came out, they had an episode where kryptonite was used like NOS to superpower cars.
There's an episode I think where there's the beauty of that show is like the kryptonite is like the engine that keeps it going, right? Where like it's the thing that hurts Clark, but it's also the thing that gives people.
Doesn't he get like a puka shell red kryptonite necklace at some point?
Yeah.
Yes,
it's the thing that gives like all the baddies of the week. Superman's got to fight somebody every week, 20 episodes a season. That's what gives them their powers, right? So I think there's an episode where like kryptonite gets into like some chewing gum and somebody chews it and gets some kind of superpower. There's one guy who like really loves bugs and he gets into a car accident and him and his bugs are near some meteorites and then he gets bug powers and becomes a bug man. And he's really in love with Lana Lang, so he's going to go kidnap Lana Lang and be a bug man. And Clark's like, I got to stop you.
So, you know, the only thing that I really remember besides the puka shell red kryptonite necklace,
that's a season finale. That's a season finale, by the way. He gets the puka shell necklace and he's like, I'm going to go be a bad boy in Metropolis. And that's a to be continued. And you come back next summer and see what kind of a bad boy he's being.
So the one thing I remember most about Smallville, though, is there was an episode shortly after the Ford Fusion came out.
Oh, I love it.
And it was all about how Lois Lane got a Ford Fusion. I remember you the next day coming in just bitching about how this product placement episode existed.
It's like an entire car chase sequence that is like them highlighting and talking about the features of the new Ford Focus. And it's like, he's onto us. Use the touchpad dash cam to see where GPS to see what he's doing. Oh, good idea, Lois. The handling's so good in this car.
That bothers me so much because the last like 4 or 5 seasons of Bones is every other episode there was some horrible product placement. Like they're in a car, he's like, "Oh my phone's not working," and then one of them is like, "Oh, on this new like Pontiac whatever, we have." We have a GPS through the car, voice activated, and like hits the OnStar button or some crap, and it's like, take us there. And he's like, good. I'm like, oh, it's so, oh, you guys can't be, there's subtlety to this.
Oh,
One of the
man.
most recent episodes of
Old
Ghosts
TV.
did that to me. Last week's episode or something, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago. This guy comes
Was Jay
in.
busy playing Marvel Rivals?
This guy comes in and says, your Amazon Prime delivery package is here. Does anyone want to sign for it? Dressed in the full Amazon uniform. I'm like, oh.
You guys are right. TV used to be better.
They're much more overt with their product placement. So with that, let's start wrapping up here. I think Matt and we can genuinely say we're hyped for this movie, not just because we are big Superman fans, but because I never explicitly said it. I am hopeful that
Yeah.
James Gunn can pull this off. I am very interested to, if nothing else, to see what James Gunn does with an A-list superhero as his main character. I mean, he's obviously working with an ensemble. Superman is still an ensemble character with Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Perry White, his parents, but they're working in and creating an expanded universe at this point. So I'm curious to see how much of that carries into the story or how much of that just feels like tacked on, like, hey, don't forget there's an expanded universe here. But I am still very hyped. I think this was a very good trailer. And I hope James Gunn can land the plane, but we will have to wait and see because I as much as I am hopeful for James Gunn to hit this out of the park, I don't know about Warner Brothers execs that are
Right.
interested in
Sure.
making this work. Like that's my big hang up, is how much of this is going to have studio interference, which so far it seems like there is none, but maybe just James Gunn and Peter Serafin are just really good at spinning it. We'll see. But Alex, where are you on the hype meter? Where are you feeling after this trailer?
I'm going to see it. There's so much as a teaser trailer for the next Avatar movie. I'm going to be at a 12 out of 10 scale. If there's even a sniff of a rumor that we're getting another Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, I am a 15 on the meter. I'm like a 4 or 5. I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
James Gunn, I don't appreciate some of the smack talk he's been doing. I mean, he's been stealing our brand by using smack talk, but by saying, "Oh, we're not doing this the Disney way. We have scripts and they are done."
I mean, he's not wrong. Everything after Endgame has kind of been that way.
Well, to be fair, I will speak up in defense of the mega corporation. Neither did Iron Man, the original Iron Man, right? Like
True.
they were doing that on the fly.
Famously produced by Avi Arad.
There's behind the scenes stuff of them like just working out scenes, and in one of them, like half the time, Robert Downey Jr. wanted Tony to like be manhandling people, like that interaction that they had with him and is not Jebediah, the bad
Obadiah.
guy Obadiah, yeah. Him like Obadiah when he's like saying like, we're taking all your stock or whatever, Tony. He wanted him to like turn on him in front of the press and like throw him into a wall and stuff. And they're like, hey. I'm like, I don't think he had a beat on Tony yet.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm going to see it. I want it to be good. I'm pleasantly surprised at how good he looks as Superman.
Yep.
And I have faith in her to pull off Lois Lane, and it's great to see Gene Hackman back as Lex Luthor.
The one thing we didn't talk about is the shot of the trailer, which I think most everyone has talked about. It's the scene, the moment of him saving the girl from like the exploding canisters.
That looked cool.
Apparently that is done like 80% practically. Like the explosion was done on set. The him sliding in was done on through a stunt practice. Like there's some green screen stuff, and they're obviously adding in extra canisters for dramatic effect. But for the most part, a lot of this film allegedly was filmed within its budget and within its schedule. There are reshoots that are happening allegedly. They are very like circumstantial. Like they're mostly just going back for like coverage than they are for story beats. But I think Alex, you had said that it seems a little bit longer than a typical sort of reshoot for that sort of thing.
No, what it is that it's the James Gunn snark. He's like, I've never had, my last two films have been locked in the script. I did no reshoots, so it came out that there's like a few days of reshoots. He's like, they're not reshoots, they're coverage shots.
Yeah, he has been a little arrogant in how
Yes.
he's been going about this, but I do think he also kind of seems to understand how important it is to get not only a Superman movie right, but to get this shared universe idea off the ground finally for DC
Yeah.
after 15 years of them throwing out the idea forever. Because there was a time where they were like, well, let's just do a Justice League movie outright in the middle of the Nolan trilogy, and we'll just have someone else be Batman. Audiences won't be confused. And then they scrapped the idea because they were like, audiences will be confused.
Well, now they're like, okay, well, we've got the DC universe, and it's starting with this cartoon, but also Peacemaker is part of it, and then there's also the Batman universe, and there's Penguin, which is part of the Batman universe, and then we've got the Superman show, and that's over now, and then also you can go watch the Arrowverse on Max, and also Stargirl's over here.
And then you got the Sonyverse, which is like, we have a Spider-Man shared universe, but we can't put Spider-Man in it.
Audiences will be confused.
Actually, it came out the other week that the people that decided Spider-Man could not be in those movies was Sony.
I know, it's so funny. It's so weird. I don't understand it.
I'm willing to bet that's Avi Arad. I don't think Avi Arad can manage more than one thing at a time. He was confused because he was helping produce the Marvel Spider-Man stuff.
You would think that after Spider-Man No Way Home, that with the hype that they might make a Spider-Man 4/3 with, Toby and Andrew, that they would have thrown one of them in Kraven the Hunter or Madam Web.
Yeah, just start tying it into that. Like, yeah.
They could have thrown Toby into Madam Web. It was late 90s, early 2000s. They could have thrown Andrew.
But Peter Parker wasn't born yet.
His was? Oh my God, he's right. Peter Parker wasn't born yet.
We talked about this last week.
I know, but it's that movie's so dumb. I keep forgetting that they're in. Oh, because that's such a bizarre.
Emma Roberts plays Spider-Man's mom. They were talking about maybe tying it into the Uncle Ben doesn't say with great power comes great responsibility universe, the Andrew Garfield universe.
And
Matt, you probably didn't listen to it, but last week we realized that in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, Uncle Ben does not say with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
it's a big convoluted thing.
But I'm very familiar with the deleted scene from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 where Peter's dad shows up at Gwen Stacy's grave alive and says, by the way, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm very aware of that scene.
But in Amazing Spider-Man 1, Uncle Ben says, your dad said, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's like, you can't even get fucking Uncle Ben's catchphrase right. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy for
you
the
have
next.
to attribute it to his dad. So, Matt, where are you on the hype meter for Superman 2025?
I got one more thing to say, okay? June, Super Summer. July, we'll talk about Superman, the new Superman. We'll talk about whatever else comes out. August, Spider Summer. Spider Summer. Spider Summer.
Okay, but we have to watch the MTV.
Yes, yeah,
Spider-Man
yes.
one. Yeah,
with Neil
NPH.
Patrick Harris.
Yes.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris, Peter Parker. Yeah.
Technically, a continuation of the movies.
Yes, I know. That is the part that I love.
Anyway,
I'm down for it.
Yeah, we just mapped out the entire year. I think I'm with you. I think I'm basically in the same boat as you, Josh. Where like I'm hopeful. I think I might be like based on what I know of you, Josh, and what you said, Alex, I might be the biggest James Gunn booster overall. Where like,
yes,
I think I'm not like a super fan, but all of his Marvel movies, Peacemaker, Suicide Squad, I'm in for. So he's built that trust with me. I think if nothing else, he like has a good head on his shoulders with this stuff, and his heart will be in the right place. Maybe the movie will not reflect that. Maybe it could still be a bad movie, but all of that plus what we've seen of this trailer has me like, okay, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'm hopeful for it.
All right. Well, if you want to hear the benefit of the doubt or give your benefit of the doubt or your take on any of this, don't forget to join our Discord. Matt, let everyone know about it.
Yeah, it's a Discord, which is a big old chat room. If you don't ever, you know what one of those are, it's where we go to hang out and chat and complain and yell at each other. It's a good time. Come hang out. I'm basically
Love each other.
Yeah, I am basically, because I am not very good at my real job, I'm basically always there. So, if nothing else, I will see what you write.
Alex, let everyone know where they can find us on the social medias, or at least what our handle is on the social medias.
We are Talking
At
Smack.
Talking Smack Pod.
Yeah, exactly. Talking Smack Pod.
And we are on
That's all
Blue
this-
Sky,
Instagram,
Instagram, Threads.
Facebook, socials. There's an
Hive
X thing that we
social.
really don't have anymore, but frankly, if you
that's-
want to get a hold of us, join our damn Discord, okay?
Discord is the best way to find to converse with us. We're not that active. We don't have that much spare time. You can also email us at tsmackpod@gmail.com. If you have any questions, thoughts, reviews, concerns, whatever you might have. Thank you to Leo Allen for musical themes, Beppo for our original avatar, Retro Ale Studios for our Ricky avatar. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, leave a thumbs up on your podcatcher of choice, or if you're watching on YouTube, again, thumbs up. Alex, who's doing the remix?
Taylor Holmes, because I love those Superman boots. Boots on Superman.
And with that, Matt, Alex, thank you so much for being here. And most importantly, again, happy Christmas to everyone listening on Christmas 2024, our release day here. Otherwise, thank you again so much for listening just in general. Take care. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And we will see you at the Smack Academy Awards. Bring your best tux.
Who loves T-Smack?
I love T-Smack. Is it true? Mm-hmm. I do. Ooh.
Just talk to your cousin. Just bridge the gap. Just figure it out. It's okay that they don't want to watch Star Trek. It's all right. It's Christmas.
Introduce them to Lower Decks. It just finished. You can watch the entire series in like an afternoon.
Don't do that. Now I'm bummed out.
Okay, well, how about we do this to make things better? Gilmore Fall.
Oh, you son of a bitch.